A Torah scroll holds stories that are a journey through our earliest history. The 7 days of creation, Noah and his ark, the adventures of our early ancestors, Moses and the Israelites marching through a desert, and so many more. But a Torah doesn't just hold stories, it also witnesses stories each and every day. A Torah watches from its perch on a bema and sees a community as it moves forward through its highs and lows. Two of Kol Tikvah's Torahs come with stories of the Holocaust. These Torahs have journeyed through history, having gone from the loving embrace of their Jewish communities into the cruel hands of Nazis and communists, and then back into the safety of the Jewish community through the work of the Memorial Scrolls Trust. The Memorial Scrolls Trust is an organization which rescued 1,564 scrolls, repaired most of them, and then sent them on new missions across the Jewish world. The older of the two Torahs comes from Brno, the traditional capital of Moravia, now a region of the Czech Republic. This Torah has traveled from Brno to London to Woodland Hills. It spent its first 100 years in a world which no longer exists, the world of Brno. Jewish history in Brno dates back to the mid-13th century. In 1254, the Margrave of Moravia granted a charter that protected the Jewish community and even encouraged settlement. By 1348, there were 1,000 Jews living in Brno. In this period, there was a Jewish quarter with its own Jews' Gate. Jewish life thrived for nearly 200 years. Then, in 1454, the first expulsion of the Jews from Brno occurred after John of Capistrano preached there. He was no fan of the Jewish community. Soon they were expelled. And from that expulsion until 1848, Jews were allowed to trade and to live nearby, but never to reside inside the walls of Brno. Beginning in the mid-18th century, Jewish life began to slowly take root in a more substantial way. In 1753, a Hebrew printing press was set up in Brno by Franz Joseph Neumann. In 1764, the Honig brothers took over the city bank, but in the following year, when two of the brothers were permitted to lease houses in Brno, a riot ensued. In 1769, Solomon Dobrushka was given permission to hold services in his house and use a small Torah that was in his possession. This came with literal costs. There was a significant tax for keeping a Torah. And between 1773 and 1786, the mystic and false Messiah Jacob Frank lived in Brno after his conversion to Christianity. After the 1848 revolution, the Jewish community increased its presence in Brno. They built a cemetery and consecrated it in 1852. Synagogue Mayor was built in 1855 and razed by the Nazis in 1939. Finally, the Jewish community received official recognition in 1859. And from there it grew and grew. Its growth included the Polish temple used from 1883 to the 1920s, the new synagogue built in 1906 and torn down by the communist regime in 1985. It is now commemorated only by a single memorial plaque. And finally, there's Agudas Achim. It was built between 1934 and 1935 and was designed by Jewish architect Otto Eisler. It is the only synagogue still in use today in Brno. During World War I, a group of Galician Jews emigrated to Brno. The Jewish population quickly rose to 11,000 by the start of World War II. When the Nazis invaded Bohemian Moravia in March of 1939, there was little damage from the invasion. The Nazis needed the aid of the Czech armaments industry. While finding a way to benefit from this new acquisition, the Nazis also stole Jewish businesses and property. They also shut down congregations and used the Jewish community oversight committees to enforce their rules. During World War II, the deportation of Jews from Brno and its surrounding neighborhoods began on November 26, 1941. when 1,000 Jews were sent to the ghetto. Another 2,000 were sent to Theresienstadt on December 2nd and 5th. 7,000 more were deported between January 28th and May 27th, 1942, most perishing in Auschwitz. Of the 10,000 Jews deported, only 700 Jews survived. A memorial plaque to honor the Jewish victims of World War II, deported from Brno, has been affixed to the building where the transports of deportees occurred. During the Holocaust, the Nazis collected ceremonial objects, including Torah scrolls, from across Europe. Czechoslovakian Jews were forced to arrange and catalog these ritual objects. After the war, the communist government of Czechoslovakia took control of the artifacts. Numbers were placed on the Torahs Eitz Chaim, a chilling reflection of the numbers tattooed on Jews' forearms just a few years prior. In 1964, after a short fiscal negotiation, the collection of 1,564 Torahs that resided in Czechoslovakia was sent to the Memorial Scrolls Committee of Westminster Synagogue in London. Upon arrival, each Torah was given a numbered brass plaque to identify its origin. 2 of the 1,564 Torahs now live at Kol Tikvah. The provenance of one of the Torahs is given as Brno. It's identified as scroll number 449. So it seems it came from Brno. But 73 scrolls were shipped from Brno, which had 3 synagogues. We know that many nearby communities sent their scrolls to Brno, but there are no records that have been found identifying them. Brno was a collection point, and not necessarily the town from which our scroll came. So, Brno became the scroll's original home, whether it is true or not. The scroll retains its secrets, and maybe someday they will be revealed.